Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. Thank you all for joining the webinar. In today's session, I will be introducing you to UX design and I will be showing you a demo on how to create your first wireframe. Before I begin, I want to emphasize that if at any point during the webinar you have any question or concerns, please feel free to ask. You can use the WebEx chat on the bottom right of the screen, or you can unmute yourself by clicking on the mic icon to ask any question you want. Okay, let's get started. My name is Rami Meitheroni. I work as a UX designer at IBM, and I have been doing UX design for the past 2 years. Before I start with my presentation on UX design, let me give you a brief overview of IBM Digital Nation Africa platform. IBM Digital Nation Africa is a free self-paced learning and innovation platform, which consists of 4 main features. One, learn, and second is you can earn badges, you can innovate and you can earn badges, and finally you can find jobs in the platform. We offer a variety of courses which will help you to learn and apply the latest emerging technologies, such as cloud, AI, data science, and so on. On top of that, when you successfully complete a course and pass a quiz, you will be given a digital badge, which is a verified proof of your achievement and learning. These digital badges can be shared on social media such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. And these badges are highly valued in the IT industry. But we don't just stop at theoretical learning. We have a wide range of project-based hands-on courses, which enable you to start building innovative solutions using the latest emerging technologies. And last but not least, you can even find a job in the IBM Digital Nation Africa platform. Our job advisor tool, powered by IBM Watson, will help you search for jobs that best fit your skills. It will also do a skill gap analysis and suggest what courses you need to take to further develop your skills. Now, with that being said, let me show you the platform, how it looks like. I will now switch from my PowerPoint presentation to the website. Okay, this is my Chrome browser. I'm on developer.ibm.com/Africa. These are the main features that I have just talked about: learn and badges, innovate, and find jobs. And at the bottom, as you see, we have 3 main learning journeys. We have Explorer, Innovator, and Newcomer. And in the Explorer journey, it provides a series of short videos that are quick to learn. We introduce the key of emerging technologies and how are being used in various industries. Second, in Innovator, it allows users to create their own digital solutions. It starts first with inspiring the user by showcasing examples of innovative solutions, and by getting you in the Get Inspired section. After that, after you get inspired, you will be introduced to design thinking methodology in the design section, and finally we have a build section in Innovate. Which in the build section we have short project-based courses that are use case driven, and you can leverage what you have learned in Explorer and in the first part of the Innovate part to build your solution in IBM Cloud. Lastly, in Newcomer, it offers to the user the opportunity to learn the most in-demand skills on the job market today. All courses here are in line with job rules such as web application developer, cloud developer, AI analyst, and etc. This section also features the job advisor tool, which can help you find jobs. It also does skill gap analysis and suggests courses that you need to take to further develop your skills. The IBM Digital Nation Africa platform also features a chatbot. And in this chatbot, you can ask any question you want, and the chatbot will answer, or you can use the live chat feature to chat with a live agent. Okay, does anyone have any question on the platform? All right, okay. So then let's start with the presentation. Let's start first by answering what is UX design. UX design is about making the user experience with the product the best it can be. We want to make sure that we attract people to our site who are interested in this kind of product. And then after they are here, we want to make sure that their journey from the home page to, for example, purchasing a product as easy and as fun as possible. A UX designer wants their users to reach their goals, or allow users to get what they came for in the easiest and most pleasurable way possible. When designing an application and or a website or anything or anything design really, the designer should keep in mind 5 goals: usability, usefulness, learnability, and desirability. When designing for usability, the UX designer asks this core question: is the product design easy to use and navigate and requiring a little need for guidance? In the usefulness phase, the UX designer should be able to answer this question of if the product is useful and it has a clear purpose or not. And learnability, we are answering the question of is the product simple to master quickly and with the minimal instruction required. And finally, in desirability, we take care of the visual appearance, and we are answering the question of if the visual appearance of the product and its design appealing to the user, and if it have a lasting impact on the user and their willingness to use the product. If anyone here have any question about the definition of UX design, can see a question here. Yeah. So UX, someone is asking, Ronald is asking, what's the difference between UX and UI? UX is all about to make the platform usable. You need to make the in UX. We are minimizing. We are trying to minimize the step of the user entering the website, purchasing a product, or getting a service. We are trying to make the experience as easy as possible and as fun as possible as well. But in UI, UI is all about visual appearance. It's about making the platform, the website, or the application beautiful to use. And in UI, we are dealing with color theory. We're dealing with styling the application and make it beautiful for the user to use. It's important to understand that it's very crucial to have a UX designer or your company or startup. A common mistake that I see among many developers is that they jump into coding without creating a design. There are many benefits of good design on your business. The first one is good design increases conversion. It increases conversion. Like, for example, have you ever wondered why you prefer one website over another when they effectively deliver the same content, the same range of goods, the same pricing? The answer is easy to use service make people come to you and get it rather than your competitors. A user-friendly interface that fulfills the customer needs is more likely to convert customer into buying or using your service. The second benefit of good user experience design is user retention or customer retention. When a user can quickly and easily reach their goals on your site, they will come back again and again. Why would they go to another website when they understand their website and they understand its behavior and navigation, and it makes their life enjoyable and smooth? They will more likely to stick to your website and to use your service even more. And the final benefit of a good user experience design is user recommendation. A great user experience will ensure your customer want to tell everybody that you want about it. Word of mouth is the best form of advertising, and a good experience design can increase user recommendation, your website or your service. Okay, so now let's go to the UX design process. What it takes, what are the steps of designing designing a website or designing an application. The design process is divided into four main steps. First, research. Second, design. Third, user testing. And four, implementation. We will get into each one of these in details, but first, to explain them clearly, I would like to take you for an example of a bad UX design, and we can apply these four process into improving this app. This is this is an app of for a bank in UAE. I'm a customer of this app. I sometimes I use this app, but when I'm using it, I came across many problems caused by bad user experience design. For example, in this page, this is the first page that we get into after registering or signing in onto the banking app. First, it shows you your account number. It shows you how much money do you have, and but the problem is they are not taking they are not using these space that the mobile is having to show a useful information. For example, here whenever I open the home page, it's showing me a banner of advertising their credit cards and their other financial services. So okay, so here let's say that I want to view my transactions of last month. I want to know how on what did I spend my money last month. To do that, it's a very complicated process in this app because of bad experience design. To do that, I need first to click on my account, and after that, I get to this page where okay, so here I see my recent transactions at the bottom, but the problem is when I scroll down, it does not scroll. It stops right there. It stops at SMS charges. It does not scroll any further, so I can't see where did I spend the money last month. To do that in this app, it's possible, but after many trials and error and after I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how much money did I spend last month, it turns out that I need to click on email statement, and after that I get into this page. I need to click my start date and end date. So I need to click the start date of last month and the date of this of today's date, and then the email. And after that, when I click on continue, I receive the email statement on my bank on my email address, which after that I need to view my email address. I need to download the PDF, and I need to scroll down and zoom into the PDF to figure out how much money I spent last month. So as you see, it's not a very intuitive process. It requires a lot of steps, and it requires user thinking. So what we can do to improve this process? Let's apply the design step, the UX design process into improving this app. The first step is research. Research is the first step in user experience design. User research is the UX design starting point for a product design. Research teaches us about the user, their behavior, their goal, their motivation, and their needs. It also shows us how they are currently navigated through our system, where they come up against any difficulties, and most importantly, how they feel when they are interacting with this kind of product. User research is carried out by many steps. First, interviews. Interviews is one-to-one with meet up with the user to establish their goals and needs. It's great for getting in-depth knowledge of how people think and feel about your product. And second one is online surveys. This method allows users to collect a vast amount of data. It allows us to collect a vast amount of data on specific themes of many different users. And third is persona. Persona is very important in user research. A target persona is not a real person, but it's a fake character who has many shared characteristics with your real user. A persona of your usual customer can be created once enough evidence has been gathered from real users. Using this persona, you can more easily imagine how users would think when they are using your product. And also, design inspiration is really important in user research. It's important to know how current apps are solving the problem that you are trying to solve. So, uh, okay, let's apply the research step that we have just mentioned uh, in this mobile banking app. So after conducting interviews and user testing, we figure out that users care mainly about the amount of each account and their transactions. They care about how much money do you have and where are they spending their money. Also, through our user interview, found out that it's hard to the user to get the bank statement, as I just discussed. Based on this feedback and based on the user interviews, we can create two personas. We can create Ahmed and Lina persona. Ahmed is a university student who is interested. Ahmed, of course, he is a functional. He is a fictional character that we are using to understand our users. Ahmed is a university student who is interested in receiving money from his parents and splitting costs with his roommate. So from this statement, we can know that that splitting money is really important when designing a banking app. Splitting money paying money to your friends. And other fictional persona that we have is Lina. Lina is an employee who has many credit cards. She has many accounts, and she is interested in saving money to buy her dream house. So based on this statement, we can know that it's important for Lena to know her transactions, where she is spending her money. When she can track her spendings, she can save money. So we need to take these into consideration. And finally, in user research, we try to search online how other banks are dealing with how attacking these problems. So we can either install existing apps to our devices on phones, or we can search online on many community websites that try to solve this kind of problems. One example is Dribble. This is a great example of a website that you can get an inspiration from. So if I search in the search field banking apps, I can see many examples of good of well-designed banking apps. So I can take inspiration of these ideas, and I can collect what I like from these ideas and implement them and design them into my app. Okay. Does anyone have any question on research before I move on? All right. Okay. The next step in design is actually in designing a UX design is actually designing the app. Design is there are many steps in designing an app. The first important one is information architecture. Information architecture addresses the hierarchy of the content on the page. It mainly we arrange the content on what's important to the user and what we feel that it's important to the user to see first. For example, many users expect the search bar to be on the top of the page. So based on that, we need to when we design, we can put the search bar at the top. And the second important step in designing is wireframing. Wireframing is concerned with the user navigation through each page and between pages. It is the process in which involves drawing a basic sketch of each page and deciding where the limit of each page should be so that the user flow can be as smooth as possible. And finally, in prototyping, we're using tools such as InVision app. UX designers can create a quick prototype from the wireframes that they have designed in the wireframing stage. This will allow them to test the prototype with users before the design became fully implemented by the development team. Prototyping saves a lot of time and money if features need to be changed after testing. So for the mobile banking app, we need first to create information architecture as we have as what we have discussed. It's the first step on design. So based on the reviews and personas, we want to emphasize on the current balance of each credit card. We want to emphasize on the option of sending money, and we want to show the financial activities. These are the three major things that we want to emphasize on. Now I will quickly sketch a wireframe to show you how is the wireframe process is done. Now I will jump to a demo. I will use Envision Freehand tool. This is a tool for sketching wireframes, simple wireframes. You don't have to use this tool. You can simply use a sheet of paper, pen and pencil. But for this demo, I will use this one to be clear for everyone. And after that, I will explain the basics of the tool, and we will think together on what we can include into the wireframe, and finally I will draw the wireframe. Okay. So now I will switch to my browser. I will switch to Envision Design Tool. It's Envision Freehand tool. You can access this tool by going to envisionapp.com, and after we will share the link on the chat, and after you go there, create an account and create a project and select the freehand tool to get into this tool. This tool is very simple. It just has a pencil and a text feature to enter text, and it also has the feature of entering an images and erasing what we have drawn. It's a very simple tool, and using shortcuts. I can draw rectangles, and I can draw perfect circles. You can know all about the shortcut that I'm using into this demo by clicking on this keyboard icon, and after that all the shortcuts will be shown to you. Okay, so let's start by sketching the banking app based on our interviews from the users. So first of all, I need to start by drawing the artboard of the app. I click the pen tool, and I just draw a rectangle. Here we need to make the function of the user to easily switch between his own accounts, because users, as we saw, Lena she have multiple bank accounts, so we need to make this feature available. We can do that by creating a rectangle. Rectangle, it looks like a credit card, so it's connecting. It's better to connect the design with the physical words. And to emphasize that we have multiple credit cards, we can create this design. We can do this like this. So this is emphasized depth, that we have multiple credit cards. We have 3 credit cards, and it's basically a carousel. To showcase that it's a carousel, to make it even more clear, we can put circles so that the user can know where is he and what credit card is he on. And to emphasize that he is on the first credit card, we can make it darker. We can make the first circle darker. Okay, let's start by. After that, we can write the balance. We can showcase the balance to the users. Here I'm giving user indication that this number that I'm about to write is the balance of his first credit card. Let's say he has 2,000 dirhams, and let's say let's give the option to the user to pay his bills. For example, pay his bills or pay a friend or a family member. And let's give an option to request money. Because the balance is so important, I will make it bigger, and to emphasize that these two are buttons, I can create a rectangle to indicate that these two are buttons. I create a rectangle and put pay inside it. I can make this button darker, so that because it's highly requested feature, we can to emphasize in this action, we can make it darker. We don't need the request button to be dark, so that the pay button can be clearly visible. Okay. And since the user can have multiple credit cards, we need a way for the user to distinguish between his own cards. They can do that by having stars and writing his account number. So this should be the last 4 digits in his in the user credit card. We can know that the user can figure out that we can figure out that this is a good way to distinguish between credit cards or not by user testing. If we show this to users and they say it was not clear to them that these are the four last digits, we can just change go back to the design, and we can modify it. Like, for example, we can say last four digits, and we can enter the number. But for now, I will keep it like this. Okay. Let's put it's important to the user to know where is he on the app. So we can write here dashboard. Can write dashboard in here. Can make it a little bit bigger, and we can have a hamburger menu. Create a hamburger menu of all the other features. Again, it does not need to be perfect. It's just a visual representation of how the UI can look like. In the next step, in prototyping, we'll make it beautiful. But for now, we are just focusing on the high level idea. And next, we need to show the user transactions. So we can type here transactions, and we can type here, give here an example of transactions. For example, coffee. The user bought coffee. For example, we can say that the user has bought coffee recently, and we can give it a date. So let's say 8 Jan at he bought coffee at 2 p.m. let's say, and the coffee was for $1. Okay, now let's start a little bit. We can make the amount bigger. We can make the date smaller to emphasize on the items, not the date. And let's make the transaction bigger to know for a better hierarchy, to know that this one falls under transactions. And let's also make a list of all the transactions that the user have created. So we can create multiple feeds here. Just make this a little bit bigger. Okay. Okay, this is great. The user know how much money does he have. He can pay his friend. He can see his last transactions. Let's add a little touch in here to improve usability. So the problem that I had in the app is that I couldn't see my last month transactions. So we can create a filter by date. So we can have here January. If at any point you have any question, feel free to ask in the chat. So these are the options that the user has to filter. February and January. So the idea here is when a user click on a month, he can see the transactions of that month. So right now, because the user is in January, we can make it bold. Can create a tab-like view. Let's actually make it a little bit darker. And for the user to know that he is in the in January month, we can underline it. All right. Okay. Okay. Yes. So here, if the user click on April, he can see the transactions of April and so on. Okay. So here we have built a low fidelity wireframe of the design of how it will look like. Now going back to the presentation, the next step is making it a prototype, making the wireframe that we have built beautiful and easy to use and fun to use to the user instead of just showing them a black and white wireframe. To do that, I'm using a tool. It is InVision. It's a very the tool is Figma. It's a very simple online tool. It's free up to one person, and you can create as many designs as you want in this tool. The tool is simple to use. You can learn how to use this tool by going to figma.com, and there are many documentations on how to use this tool. But just to give you a brief introduction, you have the basic tool in here. You have rectangles, circles, stars, and you can insert text. And unlike InVision handwrite that we have shown earlier, here you can color stuff. Here, for example, in this rectangle, I can make it, for example, in a red color. So here, because of time, I have converted the wireframe that I have designed into a visual design. So here, back to the question that I have been asked to about UI design. And here, in the first step in wireframing, I have designed the UX. But here, I'm designing the UI. I'm making the user interface beautiful. I have added rounded corner, for example. I have added multiple colors. I made the months easier to navigate and easier to distinguish, and so on. And also here, I have added icons to make it easier to the user to distinguish the different categories of payment that he have paid. So here, for example, I can see that all my drinks and coffees are under this icon. All my airlines are under tickets are in this icon, and the same for gaming. Okay. The third step in designing is user testing. User testing is very important part. UX designers test because it allows them to improve upon the original product or site design, and if they need to make any changes before moving to implementation. There are three different types of testing. There are usability testing, remote user testing, and A/B testing. Usability testing and remote user testing is when the UX designer evaluates the product by testing it on real users. It can be done through observing the user and while he is interacting or she interacting with your product, or and while he is interacting with the product, you can ask them questions. It's the most effective way to understand if the product meets the user goal or not. And a third type of testing is A/B testing. This is when the users are sent two versions of the same page or a product, and UX designer can see which version react better to the user response. And here, as we said, as I explained before, we can validate that this carousel is the right approach or not if the cards should be stacked in this way or next to each other, we can also validate this 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 number if it's clear to the user, if this is the last four digits in the user credit card. The only way to validate that is to sit with users and to show them the design and to ask them certain questions. And based on their response and based on their interaction, you can either go with the design or you can go back to the drawing board and improve upon your design. The fourth step is implementation. Implementation is when you send this design to your for your development team, and in this process you send them the specifications, you send them the color codes, the margins, the prototypes, how they interact, and everything. And also after they implement it, you make sure that you review design and you make sure that it matches the requirements and the design process that you have asked them to do. Now, these were the four main steps of design process: research, design, user testing, and implementation. This concludes our design process. Does anyone have any question about the design process? If you do, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or by writing it to us in the chat. Okay, it looks like there's no questions. Okay, now I will talk about the four main UX principles. So it's important to follow, to not reinvent the wheel, and there are many established proven UX principles that it's good to follow them to create to have a good and better design for your customers. The first one is clarity comes first. There's nothing worse than ambiguity in the app. For example, have you ever? I'm sure that all of you have been into app where they do not know what a button do, what it does, or how to get to a certain point. So clear app clarity in the app is very important. It can make users spend more time in the app, and it can lead to a higher conversion rate. For example, this is the Google Translation app. It's very simple. You can write a text and it will translate it at the bottom part. But however, you see this button, the third icon. It looks like a string or a rope icon. So it's not really clear what it does. So for that, you can use a different icon. You can test it with the user to know if the users know what this icon means, or you can just write a text if you can't find an icon that match what you are trying to deliver. This icon, by the way, represents a handwriting. So maybe they could have replaced with a pencil icon. This is another example. It's an app to book a flight. You see here the four main tabs. They have the icon, but it's not clear what these four tabs do. For example, in this star icon, I don't think any of you would have guessed that this means club. It looks like a favorite icon. So it's better to sometimes explain, write a text of what your elements or what your buttons mean. The second principle, it's an important principle. It's providing clear and meaningful feedback for your user. I'm sure that we came across many websites that when you click a button, the website or the app does not do anything. Usually people wait for the reaction, and if they don't get a reaction, they don't know what is happening, they usually quit the app. So every action needs a reaction. It's very important. And a great example of that is this is the Facebook page. When you first open your feed, your wall or your feed, instead of showing a loading button, they are using a skeleton to indicate that this page is loading, and this is what it will look like after it's loading. Another example is this is a page to show the invoices uh, in a website. So here in the right hand side, they are just listing the invoice number and the amount, but there's no indication what does this mean if I paid this invoice or not. So here in the left hand side, they have the paid button to indicate that you have paid for the second invoice, and you have not paid for the first, the third, and the fourth one. So it's giving a feedback to the user. It's saying to the user what is happening. Okay. The third one, the third most important UX principle is consistency. It's very important to have a consistent interface throughout your application. It's important to have a design language of your application. So if you start, once the user start learning how to use your product, they should not relearn it again and again. They should learn the basic grammar of your app and apply this grammar everywhere in the website of the app. Let's take a look at this example. Here, this page is not consistent. They are using different styles of the buttons. Here we have blue buttons, gray buttons, and black buttons, large, medium, and small ones. But in the left hand side, you can see that they are using one style of buttons to indicate action. So, for example, if a button indicates actions, you can use the same style everywhere in your website. And this is a second example. Here, the slider here is you can max it out from the right icon, and here and it's not consistent because another slider to max the slider out you need to click on the left hand side. While here in a good user experience design, it's consistent everywhere. You have one place to do your action. Okay, so the four most important UX principle is using established design patterns. There is, of course, there is no need to reinvent the wheel if the wheel is doing a great job. For example, if you ever unsure about what an actual icon is do, you can use the design patterns that have been set for many generations now. For example, red always mean danger, and green always means success or it means that things have gone going well. For example, another example of a design pattern is the F-shape design pattern. This is the F-shape principle. This this is a heat map collected by eye tracking experiments. Red areas represent the most viewed section in the website, and the blue area represent the least. You can see in the heat map that it resembles the letter F. The most popular areas where the user see in the website is the top part, the navigation bar, and they move from left to right and from top to the bottom. And the main focus is in the left area. So based on this principle, we can know that we need to put the most important part of our user experience at the top. So here Microsoft and Apple have been taking advantage of this by showcasing their logo on the top left corner, and because search is very important to their business, they put it at the top as well as an F shape to follow the eye vision. Because when a search is visible, when user can clearly see the search part of these two services, they can search for products, and it will lead to more purchases. 5 is use visual hierarchy. Visual hierarchy is the arrangement of the elements in a way that implies relative important information to the user. The design rule is to guide the order in which the eyes perceive information and how information is presented. The way we perceive information contribute to multiple factors. It can contribute to typography, colors, uh, and white spaces is very important in visual hierarchy. So for example, here, this is a good example. This is the Medium website. So here you can clearly see that the website is divided mainly into three sections. It's into banner, it's divided into featured for members section, and it's divided for a popular and medium section. So using visual hierarchy, using bold text and white spaces, it's easy to distinguish between these different blocks. Okay, someone is asking, is UX design is not coding, right? Yes, UX design is not coding. UX design comes before coding. So after you design the workflow of the app, how the app will look like, how it behaves to certain element and user interactions, then after you are clear on the design of the app, you work with your coders into taking this workflow, this user workflow, and implementing it to be a real app. So it's not coding, but it's very important. It is before coding. It's an important step to do before coding. Let's talk about typography. Typography is very important. So obviously, clear text is more important than a clear font is more important than a font that has many style elements. So for example, this one is easier to write. Sorry, it's easier to read, and also width matter here. Short paragraphs are hard to read, and long paragraphs make the eye tired. So it's important to have balance, to have a comfortable width of your typography. Also, never center large blocks. Never have large blocks centered in the middle. Always, if you have a large piece of text, always make it left align. And so, for example, here, this one, the left align is more comfortable to the eyes. This is recommended for large text, but for short text, for three lines of text, it's okay to have the text centered. As we discussed in the medium example, white space is very important so for the user to perceive your website, or to perceive your information easily. So here, for example, this website is using white space to divide the right hand side into 4 blocks, and within each block, it's using white space, and it's using typography to establish the different elements in that text, in that piece of block of text. The final UX principle that I want to talk about is color. Color are really important in UX design. So I will not get into details into colors, but I want to say that warm colors are usually appear closer to the eyes. So for example, here, the red button feel closer than the blue one. And for that, this UI is using the blue color to make the banner appear on the back, and it's using the red color to make this button stand out and to make it appear on the front, to emphasize on this update now button. And it's also important to not use many colors. Obviously less is more. So when you have multiple colors, it will distract the users. So for example, here Instagram has redesigned their app. Before, it used to have many colors, but now they have 1 or 2 colors. For example, this was very helpful for Instagram, because here when you have no colors, you can see that you can distinguish this red alert pattern. You can easily identify it and recognize it. Before I end the presentation, I want to share with you useful resources in UX design. The first one is to learn more about UX design. You can go to ibm.com/design/practices. We have this website, this IBM website have explains it has a lot of useful information on UX design. And you can also follow the IBM Design Medium channel. We post many articles in UX design, and you can see you can check dribble.com or behance.net for design inspiration. And this website, Laws of UX, this one it has around 20 good laws to apply to your UX design, to your design. And for the tool that I have used to create the prototype, I have used Figma. This is the link. It's collaborative. It's a collaborative design tool, and it's very easy to use. And for the for a prototyping tool or for a wireframing tool, I recommend InVision. You can use InVision by going to envisionapps.com. This concludes my presentation. If you have any question, please feel free to ask on the chat or unmute yourself and ask a question. Thank you for joining the webinar. I hope that the presentation was helpful. Thank you.